apart. Is it really love? Just watch me march towards the battle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. Watch me march if it couldn't break your heart. Is it really love?
Welcome to the fray, Flak Pack. It's Termex here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. And in today's build video, I'm going to be showcasing you guys my Fustercluck Flak build. But why did I call it this? Why Fustercluck Flak? Well, I set myself on the journey to make a Flak build completely centered around all of the new Fustercluck DLC weapons and gear. And I've seen a lot of builds around, I've seen a lot of similar builds that I've wanted to do, so I wanted to switch up to something a little bit more unique. So the main premise of this build is mainly get as much of the DLC4 gear in here as possible, and I'm 99% sure that all the weapons we are using is only from DLC4. I just thought this would be a cool twist on a build, and it actually is pretty dang powerful. But as always, guys, before we get into the video, if this video helps you out in any way, leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new and you want to join the Flak Pack, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future Mayhem 10 Flak build videos. But anyway, let's get right into the skill tree with this build. Okay, so starting off into the Stalker skill tree, we're putting 5 points into Furious Attack. This is simple. When we shoot an enemy, we get 2% gun damage, stacks up to 10 times. 5 points into Overclock, so we get a flat out 10% extra fire rate, and another 10% after reloading. 3 points into Turntail and Run, because when we are moving, we get health regeneration and damage reduction, but when we're standing still we get that 25% extra gun damage and 12% fire rate. Lick the Wounds, because how is a Flak build even a Flak build without Lick the Wounds? I mean, come on now. 5 points into Eager to Impress. Now this is going to be pretty important because this is basically going to be what's recharging our action skill constantly, and we do have bonus points from our class mod to make this even better. 3 points into the Fast and the Furious, so when we're above half health we get the 25% extra gun damage, 30% pet damage, and 10% movement speed. And then you're going to put 3 points into Self-Repairing System so we can get further down into the tree and give us a little bit more survivability. And 1 point into the Power Inside, so when we activate our action skill we get 25% bonus damage for 15 seconds, but if we're at max health, which most of the time we are going to be, we will have 50% damage for 15 seconds. Over into the Hunter skill tree, we're putting 5 points into Interplanetary Stalker, kind of a must-have skill for Flak in my opinion. Every time we get a kill, we're getting 14% gun damage per stack, and this stacks up to 3 times, on top of many other different bonuses. 3 points into Leave No Trace, so we have that 36% chance to actually add ammo back into our magazine when we hit a critical hit. 5 points into Hunter's Eye, just so we can get all the different benefits when fighting separate enemies. Very useful for basically everything in the game, including takedowns. Now you're going to put 2 points into Second Intention. This is going to give us a little bit more reload when we're basically in every fight. Reload speed is always good for Flak, regardless of what weapon he's using. A lot of people are going to say, why not head count? Well, we have 7 out of 5 in Eager to Impress. So honestly, with the type of build this is, there's no point to have head count. I would much rather have the reload speed. But you know, it's your personal choice. If you want these 2 points over into head count, go right ahead. Two Fang is kind of useless with this build. Yes, we have a few guns that will benefit from Two Fang, but honestly it's not that big of a deal if we have an extra projectile or not, except for maybe the Major Kong, because I think that has a lot more damage, but that thing doesn't need more damage. We'll get to that later. 3 out of 3 into Big Game, so we get double the duration on our hunt kill skills and 30% stronger effects. 3 out of 3 into the Most Dangerous Game, so when we kill a badass we get 25% extra gun damage, 10% extra crit, and 27% extra pet damage. 1 point into Galactic Shadow for the flat out 15% critical hit damage, and enemies are less likely to attack us, but we all know that is probably bullshit. And then we're going to put 3 points into Grim Harvest for the extra action skill damage, because guess what, we are using Rack Attack along with many other things that I'll get into later, but this action skill damage is going to be very nice. 1 point into Megavores so we can get that chance to crit no matter where we hit an enemy. Over into the blue tree, we're going to put 3 points into Persistence Hunter so we have 12% extra gun damage, and action skill duration, not that big of a deal. 2 points into Ferocity because you want a little bit of pet damage, not a big deal. but I think the 2 points into Ferocity is going to be a lot more beneficial than Go for the Eyes. 1 point into He Bites because we are putting 5 points into Frenzy. If you guys don't know, when an enemy shoots your Skag and you have 1 point into He Bites, it will actually proc a stack of Frenzy, which is actually really nice. Now, as for your action skill, we are going to be running a Rack Attack along with Rack Accelerate and Flock and Load. Flock and Load for the 2 additional racks, and Rack Accelerate for the extra charge and cooldown rate. And finally, for your pet, we have the Great Horn Skag. It's awesome to see him back into action. Great pet, probably one of my favorite pets in the game, both how he looks and his actual stat bonuses. Putting him on is going to give us 10% extra gun damage and 5% extra damage across the board. And as always with all my builds, Guardian Rank is disabled. I don't like to have all that Guardian Rank bonus stats and perk nonsense. None of my builds on this channel will ever feature a Guardian Rank perk or buff unless it's specific to that build. Just so you guys know, that's the reason. I'm not a big fan of Guardian Rank, never have been. And as for the Mayhem modifiers, they are kind of different now because they kind of had that little event and it kind of fucked up all my modifiers. I'm not mad whatsoever. It's fine. But I have Slayer, which is basically non-boss enemies below 15%. They melee, you get boosters, big whoop, you know. Healy Avenger because it's neutral. Chain Gang because it's also neutral. It's just a little annoyance. And Postmortem because it is a big annoyance. And now as for the inventory, before I get into this, I will say this is a PC save file. It's in the description down below if you want. While you're down there, my Discord is there as well for you console players if you need any help with the gear in this build. I'm sure someone in the server will help you out. And remember, the more people in the server, the higher chance someone is going to have something you need or want. Always down there if you guys need it. But as for the weapons, I've been farming my ass off. That's why this build has been a little delayed. I've been farming a lot of gear. I'm not a big fan of Gibbed. I'm not a big fan of all that crap. I don't even know how to do that kind of stuff. But I'm just not a big fan of it. So with this build, I basically farmed up, in my opinion, the best variations of each weapon from the new DLC in order to use here. So I do have a Convergence, which is probably my new favorite shotgun in the game, with 100% ASE because we are using a rack attack setup. And I did get the ×8 prefix because it is stronger, and because of head count, there's so many projectiles that we're never going to reload this thing. We are going to run out of ammo, obviously, but reloading is not an issue. I also got the Prompt Critical. Now, this is probably one of my favorite weapons from the new DLC. Honestly, it's awesome. I can imagine how amazing this thing is on Moze, but on Flak, with an ASE splash damage, this thing's amazing. It's 15,000 damage ×3, and now we do have the rebound with splash damage. Now, there's going to be a big argument. This weapon isn't splash damage. This weapon isn't splash damage. Well, I'm going to show you guys that this thing is splash damage no matter... I don't know why people say it's not splash damage. I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to take off all my gear. I'm going to respec, have nothing in my skill tree. And I will enable rack attack just for the ASEs. And I just want to show you guys really quick because this has been Twitter, Reddit, everywhere. They're saying that this is not a splash damage weapon and that it's useless on Moze, but I'm going to show you guys it is. If you go over down into the firing range, we're going to shoot this guy a little bit. Like I said, no gear, no perks, no Guardian Rank, nothing. And we're hitting for 15,000, just around 50. You could already see that it's explosive right here. So we're hitting for 15,000. And then we have the splashes. Let's just rack attack, and then boom, we're hitting for 47,000. So yes, this is a splash damage weapon for anyone asking. As you can see, the secondary explosions are doing even more damage themselves. So yes, this is a splash damage weapon. Now we have the Pat MK Mark III. Now this is an SMG that you can get from SpongeBob Bullet Pants over on DLC4. You could look it up. I'll probably have a link to where all these weapons drop. They'll be in the link in the description below just for you guys to farm these up if you're not on PC. But I got this with consecutive hits and a low magazine size roll. Well, the lowest roll I can get, even though we're running a Pearl of Knowledge. Because the special effect with this gun is when you reload it, if your mag is empty, you're going to be getting the max damage out of it regardless. As you can see here, it says thrown weapon spawn with a full magazine. So even though I emptied my clip, the TDO reload is gonna still do the same damage as if I did this, which is awesome. I think it's actually pretty cool. And I got consecutive hits because it's gonna be easy to keep up consecutive hits with this gun because you have all these bullets coming out along with the guns themselves shooting once you throw them. So consecutive hits, in my opinion, is a good thing for this weapon. And it's gonna be another mob clear. It's gonna be another trash mob area cleaner, or if you really want to do TDO reload kills, you can. You could really shoot one bullet and keep going and regenerating ammo, but that's completely up to you. We also do have another version of the Mark III, but it is a corrosive along with enemies damaged by rack attack. It's there if you want it. And we do have the lovable rogue with splash damage. Now this is another weapon that I kind of hate, but kind of what? You know, I don't know what just happened there, but anyway, this weapon is a gun that I kind of hate, but I kind of love. The way it is these stickies can spawn a homing projectile and it does an insane amount of damage, but you don't need to hit an enemy for the stickies to actually work. If you do this, as you can see, they're still homing and all that. But for me, the fire rate's a little slow. It's not really good for mobs. This is probably good for certain shock bosses, in my opinion. That's why it's not in the main 4 weapon slots. And we also do have the Blind Sage with action skill ASE 100. This is a 10,000 times 18 shotgun with radiation and cryo. Now this is going to be for your robots, for anything robotic, anything like that. Mainly a mob clearer because of its special ability. Basically, when you kill an enemy, it's going to send out echoes. As you can see here, damaging enemies applies an echo debuff to the enemy for 8 seconds. Killing that affected enemy fires out projectiles to other nearby enemies, and I believe it does 1/3 of the damage that you did on the first enemy, because I saw Jolt's dude video on it a while ago. But it's 1/3 of the damage I believe that you do to the enemy. That's what the echo debuff will do. Very good for mobbing, very good for robots because of the elements I rolled, and it's slow firing, so I wouldn't use it in super mega large groups. And now we have the bread and butter, the Major Kong, the new yellow cake, the new ion cannon, whatever you want to call it. We have this rolled with a 300% above 90. Now this thing is going to be your one-shot boss killer. This thing is going to be your second win guaranteed. This thing does everything. This thing is insane. I hope it doesn't get a nerf anytime soon, but if you don't know, you charge this thing up and it goes super mode and you just go bam, and you do insane amount of damage. Only one projectile hit there, so but you get the point. This thing is a monster. I've seen a lot of builds with it, and just throwing this in a save file is just a no-brainer. It's honestly a great weapon. And finally, our last weapon is the Septimator. Yeah, Septimator Prime with an ASE. Now, this isn't the best sniper in the game. To me, this is if you went on Wish.com and you ordered a Lyuda, and this is the Lyuda they sent. Because, I mean, in general, the damage is not great. You're doing damage, but not really. And its special effect, oh my god, the recoil, I keep forgetting. The special effect is basically those fireballs up there that you can't really see. When you shoot an enemy, there's a random chance that fireballs will shoot down, which I guess is cool, and has an underbarrel RPG, which is also kind of cool. But it's just fun just to throw it in there. I think it's a unique weapon, and it has its very niche uses, but, you know, it just doesn't do a lot of damage in my opinion, but I'll throw it in there. And as for the gear, we do have a stopgap on skill start, so we can have our tankiness and basically never die. I do have this with a turtle roll, which is more capacity, but we get less max health. And now you don't need this. I'm going to include a bunch of different shields in the save file because the shield was the hardest part to throw in there. Okay, I found the shield in my vault. It is this one right here, which is the Plus Ultra. The 25% chance to absorb bullets as ammo and increase action skill cooldown rate by 30% for several seconds. This I will include in the save file if you want to put that on. Completely fine with you. But I have every element of Old God with the corresponding ASE if you guys want to try those out. Very high capacity shield, very tanky, surprisingly. But except for this one. This one has a absorb roll, but these have capacity rolls, which I personally prefer. But that's just me. As for your grenades, I do have the It's Piss, but I have a bunch of different grenades that I'm going to explain here. They're all level 65 with different ASEs. As for the relic, we do have a level 65 Pearl of Knowledge. A lot of people ask, how do you get this? You have to redo your DLC2. Kind of stupid, but I think it's personally worth it. You redo your DLC2, and when you get to the point where Claptrap with the whole relic thing, you just read-only farm, and you'll get it eventually. And we do have a Snowdrift Victory Rush with magazine size, exit skill cooldown rate, and fire rate, which is honestly really cool. Good to get around the map, good for speed farming. And as for the class mod, we only have one class mod with this build, and it is the Peregrine. This is an underrated class mod, in my opinion. I think it has a lot of potential. I've seen a lot of builds with the melee splash damage thing going on, which isn't bad. I just didn't want to do the same thing as everyone else. We have splash damage roll, action skill damage roll, and we do have shield recharge delay. Not really a big fan. If that was like weapon damage or something, I would be one lucky son of a gun, honestly. But I guess shield recharge delay isn't that big of a deal. But basically, when you hit your rag attack with an enemy, they'll drop your equipped grenade, and there's a lot of different things I prefer, but me personally, I like the It's Piss, and the reasoning behind it is, basically with the It's Piss, I'm getting that bonus 20% damage from my grenade all the time, but I'm not taking the time out to actually throw the grenade in the fight, if that makes sense. I'm not worrying about if I have to throw a grenade now, it just happens alongside my action skill, which is something I really like. I like that you can just have it there. But there's different uses. Like I said, there's fish slap builds with it, but that's not what I want this to be around. I wanted this to be more gun orientated and gun centered, so that's why I put on the It's Piss. But of course, you can put on whatever grenade you want. But me personally, I just love getting that 20% damage on all enemies. And on top of that, if you barrel stuff with your rack attack and you're on fire, the It's Piss will actually proc that Extinguish Status Effect perk. And I think that's actually kind of cool. If you rack attack someone barrel stuffing, kind of like pretend this is an enemy and you did this right there, the It's Piss would fall on you and it would proc. So I think that's actually kind of cool. So now we're in Athenas. We are going to be rocking a shock damage along with a stopgap just for the tankiness. I'm going to use this pistol in sticky mode. Yeah, I want to do sticky mode. And this pistol is honestly really underrated. If you stick them up, as you can see, I'm going to proc our ASEs. Oh yeah, this pistol is honestly, it's so fun to use. A lot of people, when you hit crits with this thing, it's a monster, man. And this isn't even the main thing of the build that I want to showcase, but the fact that it does so much damage is awesome. I think it's probably one of my new favorite pistols in the game. This is what the Unkempt Herald should have been. The Unkempt Herald should have been this pistol in a nutshell, honestly. And now we're going to show off our rag attack. Boom, boom. Yeah, its piss grenades make short work of enemies when you do this kind of build. They melt, honestly. There we go. Nah, you can't run from the rag attack. I'm sorry, dude. Yep, unfortunately. But let's use the rebound for a minute. Let's show off what this amazing weapon can do. Those enemies just spawned in down there, and we're gonna just, oh yes, this is gonna be awesome. Get our ASEs to proc once again. And yeah, as you're seeing, we're doing a crap ton of damage. We just died to a death. Yeah, I forgot to mention, Death does, he doesn't care about your stopgap immunity. Death will not care whatsoever. Alright, we're almost at Tron, but I just can't get over the fact of how awesome this pistol is. This pistol is just such a fun weapon to use. Honestly, you could just use this pistol and the whole build would be perfect, but, you know, it's just my favorite pistol. If you guys have any favorite weapons, let me know, but this gun is just so fun. Alright, now that we're at a boss, we are going to try out something a little different. So, I'm going to equip this lovable rogue thingamabobber. I've never tried this on Tront quite yet, but we're going to see what it could do. And as you can see, the stickies haven't even gone off yet, and we're going to reload. And look at that shield. That shield is gone in one clip. He almost died to one clip of that. That is... Wow. Anyway, we're going to reload, and he's probably going to die. Most likely. Yep. And, yep. Okay. Yeah, that's what I love about this gun. It's not great for mobbing, but this thing for bossing is honestly a thing of beauty. But, yeah, anyway, guys, that is my Fustercluck flak build in honor of DLC4. Arguably the best DLC that Borderlands 3 has ever dropped. Fight me about it. It is the best DLC. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this build. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, there's a save file in the description below along with the Flag Pack Discord. If you guys want to join that, highly appreciate it if you do. But anyway, I hope you guys have a terrific day. Stay safe during these times. And me and Demo Skagan will see you guys later.